Welcome to the Journey to a Million podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Walker. This podcast is about my personal journey from being $25,000 in debt to getting to $1 million of net worth by the age of 43. Follow along with my journey, implement the ideas, and let's do it together. Thanks so much for joining me. Let's get started. What's going on out there, guys? Today is Friday, February 4th, and welcome to another Journey to a Million podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Walker, as you know. So I wanted to make a video today because Bitcoin had its first pretty big green candle in a while, and I wanted to analyze kind of what that meant, what happened, and if we're going to continue to go up or down based on my perspective. So it's been a minute since we've talked about crypto in depth on this channel. Hope you guys like my new background back there. Wanted to switch it up a little bit, so I've got a few new ones we'll be having on there for the future. So we'll see if you guys like them. So for crypto, like we said, Bitcoin, it was about 37,000 this morning. And what happened was we got this big green candle from 37 to about 39 and now into the 40,000. So I'm going to share my screen here and we can kind of take a look at this here. So let's see. So this is KuCoin, just a chart. I just like this chart. You know, it's pretty straightforward here. But one thing that I wanted to look out here, this is basically the candle for today. You can see here. And so we were at about, 37 and then pushed up. Now we're pushing above 40,000 for today, which, as you can see, is one of the biggest candles we've had in a long time, since we had this one back here where we moved up from 48 to about 50 and some change. So, this one is a little bit bigger today, and everyone seems to be calling for the bottom, which, I'm not 100% that we're there yet. It looks like it could be, but I'm not quite there yet, and I'll tell you guys why. So my big thing that I've realized from this last current crypto dump has been, I need to be doing my own technical analysis, because I've definitely looked at some of the crypto YouTubers out there, BitBoy Crypto, Crypto Jeb. I liked Crypto Jeb a lot. But one thing that I was, looking at on his channel is that, him and BitBoy are always seem to be bullish, and that's cool. But sometimes the market's going to go down. And if you just keep saying that it's going to constantly go up, the indicators, the on-chain analysis, all that might say that Bitcoin's price should be higher. But you kind of have to look at reality in that sense and know that, based on all the inflation and what's happening with, political stuff going on, it's just the market has been set to go down for a while now. So, I definitely have lost about 40% of my portfolio since about, the end of December. And that hurts, so I'm not trying to do that anymore. I think hodling is fine. I think I definitely don't think Crypto Jeb is out there trying to tell anyone that it's just going to constantly go up or mislead anyone. I think he's in a long-term case of like, he doesn't care if the price goes up or down 10,000 necessarily. He's probably just trying to tell people, like, just relax, and just in 10 years when Bitcoin is worth like $1 million or more per Bitcoin, you're not going to care about these minor fluctuations. However, to me, if I'm going to lose 40% of my portfolio, I'd rather just get out and then just wait and then jump back in at the appropriate time. So I personally sold almost everything that I own as far as crypto goes last week or two. I scaled out, and that's okay. Just whatever. I sold most of my positions over a few days, and because I wanted to do that, just because I wasn't sure what the market was going to do. Some people are predicting a drop for Bitcoin, a lot lower than this. And I would rather, take my loss as it is. And if it goes back up to 40 to 45, hey, that's money I missed out on. But at the same time, I wouldn't be able to really take it if I lost another 60% on top of the 40% that I lost, So there's a lot more room to drop if we need to. So I'm kind of just waiting on the sidelines to see what happens. And basically what I realized from that is, I would watch these YouTubers and just think like, they know more than me. They're experts. I'm not. So I need to listen to them. But it just gives you a false sense of hope a lot of times, because you're kind of like always expecting the price. Yeah, it's going to get, it went down, but it's definitely going back up. You can, just wait. Just hold on. It's definitely going to go back up. It's like, yeah, that's great. But what if it doesn't for another 6 months? What if it goes down another 50%? Um, it's just that type of thing. So one thing I learned from trading a while back is the 13 and the 30 moving average and those indicators. So I think that's one of the best indicators. It's the best for me as far as making good trades, because pretty much every time the 13 crosses the 30 in a significant way, the price makes a good bullish move, up or down, bullish going up and bearish going down, of course. So if we can look at this KuCoin chart here of Bitcoin, you guys can see starting back in September, we had this big move. The gold line is the 13 moving average and the purple line is the 30-day moving average. Okay. So you see we bottomed here. This was about, actually, no, this was not a bottom back from July. The original bottom was back in July, like we said, 29,000 or so. And then the 13 crossed the 30 here. And that was, let's see, July 17th or so. No, that's different scaled, maybe end of July, basically. And we crossed up, got into the 30s. And then from there, we had a good bullish move, crossed back down again, slightly. And then you could have sold at that point. But then it crossed again here. You'd have been pretty much at the same spot, maybe off by a few thousand. And then we had that nice move up to about 69K. And then we came back down, crossed down again. Here you would have been at about 55,000. Would have been a great time to sell, even if you sold at 55, because every time this line drops, we're getting these bearish or bullish moves. So the only one here, you can kind of see this one, it crossed, but it wasn't a clean cross. It was just like, basically it just touched it and just fell back down. So you definitely have to watch for it to move in a significant way, because if the whole indicator is dropping like this, and it just barely touches, that's what we could see here again, is what I'm getting at. Because if we continue to zoom in, the way I'm following this is on the daily chart. So you can kind of change it up and I'll show you something to look at there. Is that, we still are way under this, and we would have to hit about 45,000 or so probably over the next few days to get back across. And if we do see that, then most likely we're going to be heading back up. But I'm not going to jump back in quite yet. I'm definitely okay with waiting on the sidelines just to double check. I do think we're going to bottom pretty soon, some point, and I'm going to get back in for the rest of 22. Of course, I am bullish on 2022. I think that's the message that a lot of these YouTubers are saying, but you kind of have to just do your own research and do your own charting. And I know that they say that. It's just kind of like, the way I take it is a lot of the YouTubers, if you look at their titles and their titles are just clickbait, it's probably not a good idea to listen to them, because they're only trying to get clicks and trying to only promote their own channels. And basically it's a short-term mentality. I like to be spoken to like an adult, and just not have those insane, bullish, massive, urgent, last chance titles. Like, why do you need to do that? So anyway, that's kind of my beef with some of these big YouTubers lately. There's plenty of YouTubers that don't use total clickbait, and they have, 500,000 to 700,000 subscribers. So I definitely think it's like, do you need to have those extra? I'm sure you make bank by having extra, twice as many subscribers. But at the same time, like, all those people are probably going to be turned off to your channel long term, because you're just feeding clickbait all the time, just like the age old story, the boy who cried wolf, basically. So anyway, that's my spiel with them. Looking, if we want to change it up to like the 4-hour chart on this, you can see that we're starting to see some kind of a cross, with the 13 and the 30. And then the 5-hour has crossed the 10. So we could see a move up based on that. But as you can see, these crosses aren't as meaningful on this chart, because they can cross up and down, and it's a lot easier. The 12-hour is a little bit more significant. We're starting to see that cross initially with the blue and then the gold. So we'll see how that goes. But I think the daily is the biggest one we need to be following. So we're starting to see the first initial cross, the 5 through the 13, and that's a good sign. So if we can get both to cross back up significantly, over the 30, then I think we could be heading for a move up, but I'll wait just a few more days to make sure we don't get a little touch and then another fall down. So definitely anything can happen. And I think in this point in time, it's better to play it safe. So that's my analysis based on the 13 and the 30-day moving average. Hopefully you can still see me in the corner there, but I don't know. I'm still learning some of this stuff with this monitor. But yeah, so it's been a good year. I'm just a little disappointed with how the past few months have gone because I was kind of not doing my own research, and that's another thing I was going to say is these crypto expert YouTuber guys, they're like, hey, listen to me, but don't actually follow my advice, not financial advice. It's like what's the point of having a channel if you're wanting everyone to tune into you and listen to you, but actually not listen to you? It's just kind of contradictory in my opinion. So anyway, that's all I'll say about that. I definitely take responsibility for my own losses. I'm just having a personal beef with some of the way that, the YouTubers that I was following were, posting their titles. And, that's already been addressed through other YouTube channels calling those people out, or at least BitBoy. So anyway, basically, I've nailed it down to about three YouTubers that I'm following now. Benjamin Cowan, Data Dash, and Optical Art Crypto. He's actually very bearish right now. So, he's been right a lot. So I'm kind of like, kind of taking his advice on that. And plus, like we said, I'm doing my own research now with these charts and seeing I'm following the 13 and 30. There's a lot of indicators that are actually bullish right now, but I prefer the 13 and the 30 because you can look at the track record and see that this indicator has actually been right most of the time. If you just follow that, you'd be up and down and know what Bitcoin is going to do. It's been accurate for the last year at least. So anyway, that's it for this. I definitely am waiting on the sidelines to see once we get back above that 13 crossing 30 up, I'll definitely make a video because I want to consolidate my crypto portfolio when I rebuy back in with, I had about 20 to 40 cryptos probably. And that's great. When something pumps, you're like, yeah, I have that. But I think it'd be more fun this time to consolidate to like a top 10 list. And then, have some money on the sidelines that I could make trades with if I wanted to. But basically, there's a lot of lessons that I learned from the bull market over the past 2-3 years is, when you are in profit, don't be afraid to take some out because the 2 times that I sold for profits, besides, all my portfolio just now, I never regretted it. I was very happy that I had those profits, and I never was when the market went back down, I was glad that I did it because that money helped me, with stuff when I needed like, a few bucks here and there. But at the same time, I lost a lot more by holding long term. So I think for me, I'm in a short term mindset when it comes to like my investments, and I'm going to be buying and selling and trying to maximize my growth by not just, watching the market and my portfolio go up and down because, I basically 2.5x my portfolio since 2020, and that's fine, but that's not great compared to what the market's done. I personally know that I left a lot of money on the table, and I could have 4x to, could have gone 4x in early 2021, I think. Yeah, 2021 we could have we had an early 4x, early 2x, maybe something like that, and then could have sold somewhere along that way 2 to 3x, and then basically bought back in at some point, and we would have 6x to 8x, and then we could be buying back in off of 6 to 8x, and then potentially like 10 to 20xing from here, if not more. So it's like instead of taking that 2.5x, you're taking instead of taking a 10 to 20x, you're taking a 2.5x. So that's the part that I'm like, yes, hodling is cool, but you're leaving so much money on the table basically. So that's kind of my strategy going forward. I'm going to consolidate that crypto portfolio into my top 10 or so, and then just ride with those, through. I do think there is going to be another rally for 2022. I definitely think we're just kind of going through a consolidation, capitulation, and then a bear market phase, mini bear market, as far as like just the economic factors that are going on. I think once those get cleared up and then we move past all that and inflation is kind of somewhat leveled out, I think we're going to see a move up through the rest of 2022. And hopefully that will be the parabolic run. And this time, it takes me 3 times to learn something, I feel like. So it's like you mess up, you know what to do next time, but then you still don't do it the next time. And then the third time you're like, okay, I'm going to do it this time. So take profits and set a plan. That's another thing, is set a plan on the way up. When you say, hey, my stuff is doubled, even though somebody says it's still going to go, like BitBoy was saying, Bitcoin was going to 300K. So I was like, well, it's only at 60. So why would I sell now? But you need to actually take those predictions with a grain of salt, because by the end of the bull market, they were saying 100K. And then it only basically got to 70% of that. So we'll see if it goes back up and crosses 100K this year. It could go even higher. We'll see, but don't take my word for it. Like we said, I'm just going to be saying every time something 2X's, I'm going to sell a certain amount, like 25 to 50% of my investment. So that way, no matter what happens, I'll make a good, clean profit along the way. And if I want to buy back in at the end of the bear or bull market, sometime when it goes bear, after that, we'll do that. So hopefully this video was coherent. I felt like I was just, spewing a lot of thoughts. It's been a minute since we made any of these videos, and I don't want to make it seem like I'm blaming anyone else for me taking losses off the top of my portfolio. Like we said, I try to take responsibility for, my own investments, and I do take responsibility that I didn't sell at the proper time and I wasn't following the charts like I should. So like we said, that's a lesson learned by me, and hopefully by the third time we can understand what we need to do going forward as far as buying and selling at the appropriate times and following the indicators and following the chart. So that's it for today. Appreciate you listening to my little rant there, and we'll see what happens over the next few days with Bitcoin. All right.